There's an old apartment building on the east side where justice lives on different floors. Ground floor. Those who've lost everything. Third floor. Those barely holding on. Fifth floor. Those pretending they're fine. Seventh floor. Those who took it all. Tonight, on the seventh floor, a man who ruined lives is dead. The building holds its breath, because in this vertical world, everyone knows what goes up must come down. Detective Ray Chandler arrived at the building at 11:53 p.m. The Riverside Apartments. 7 stories of Art Deco elegance gone to seed. Built in 1947, when the neighborhood was something. Now it was barely holding on. Like most of the people inside. The super, an old man named Carlos Rodriguez, met him at the entrance. 7th floor, Carlos said, his accent thick, his hand shaking. Mr. Pierce. The lawyer. Ray followed Carlos into an elevator that groaned and wheezed its way up. The building smelled like every old building in the city. Cooking oil, mildew. Decades of lives lived in 2 small spaces. How long have you worked here? Ray asked. 42 years, Carlos said. I was here when they built it. When it was new, beautiful. He paused. Before people like Mr. Pierce bought it. The elevator lurched to a stop. 7th floor. The hallway was different up here. Cleaner, quieter. Only 2 apartments, 701 and 702. The penthouse units, Carlos explained. 702 was empty, had been for months. 701 was Pierce's. The door was closed. Locked. 2 uniformed officers stood outside. One of them, Officer Chun, nodded at Ray. Door was locked from the inside when we arrived, Chun said. Building manager had to use his master key to get in. Windows? Sealed. It's 7 stories up. No fire escape on this side. No. Balcony. The windows haven't been opened in years. Painted shut. Ray pulled on gloves and entered apartment 701. Martin Pierce lay on the floor of his living room. Late 50s. Expensive suit. Dead approximately 3 hours, the ME would later confirm. Single gunshot wound to the chest. A .38 revolver lay on the floor near his hand. Suicide, the scene said. But Ray Chandler had been a detective for 16 years. And something was wrong. Who found him? Ray asked. Anonymous call, Chun said. Someone phoned it in at 11:30. Said they heard a gunshot. Hung up before we could get a name. Ray walked the apartment. 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, kitchen, living room where Pierce died. Everything expensive. Everything pristine. Everything completely at odds with the building it sat atop. Tell me about Pierce, Ray said to Carlos, who hovered in the doorway. Carlos's face hardened. He bought this building 5 years ago. Immediately started raising rents, evicting people, claiming code, violations, forcing people out so he could renovate, charge more. He gestured to the apartment. He took this floor for himself, kicked out the Johnsons. They'd lived here 30 years. So people hated him. Everyone hated him. Ray looked at the locked door, the sealed windows, the gun by the dead man's hand. Everyone's a suspect then, Ray said quietly. Ray Chandler spent the next 3 hours interviewing residents. Starting from the bottom, ground floor, apartment 101. Carlos Rodriguez, age 68, super, lived in the building since 1982. Mr. Pierce fired me last month, Carlos said, sitting in his cramped studio. Photos of grandchildren covered every surface. Said he was hiring a property management company. I have 30 days to vacate. Where were you tonight between 8 and 11 p.m.? Here, watching TV. Alone. Did you hear the gunshot? I heard something. Thought it was a car backfiring. Did you make the anonymous call? Carlos looked Ray in the eye. "No, but I wish I could thank whoever did." Third floor, apartment 304. Lisa Chen, age 34. Single mother. 2 kids, ages 6 and 9. "Pierce evicted us last year," Lisa said, kids asleep in the only bedroom while she and Ray talked in the kitchen. "Said we were violating occupancy limits. 2 kids in 1 bedroom. We had nowhere to go. I fought it. Lost. Only reason we're still here is Judge Ramirez granted a stay pending appeal. But that appeal ends in 2 weeks. Then we're out." Her eyes were dry. She'd cried all her tears already. "My kids will be homeless because that man wanted to charge $3,000 for a 1-bedroom. Where were you tonight? Here, putting kids to bed, reading stories, being a mom." Pause. "Being a mom who can't protect her children from men like Pierce." Ray noted the lack of alibi witnesses. The kids had been asleep. 5th floor, apartment 503. Harold Weeks, age 74. Retired postal worker. Lived in building since 1985. "They're making me leave," Harold said, his apartment a museum. "Of 40 years. Pierce says the building needs extensive renovations. He's forcing everyone out. Once we're gone, he'll gut the place, charge triple. You're fighting it? Can't afford a lawyer. The ones I can afford? They look at the other side and see Pierce, corporate law firm. They won't touch it. Where were you tonight? Here. Same place I am every night. Waiting to die in the only home I have left." Harold had a Purple Heart on his mantle. Served in Vietnam. Worked 30 years for the Postal Service. And now, at 74, he was being kicked out of his home. "Did you kill him?" Ray asked directly. Harold smiled sadly. "I thought about it every day for 5 years. But no, I didn't kill him, though I won't pretend I'm sorry he's dead." 7th floor, apartment 702. Empty. Had been for 8 months. The previous tenant, a woman named Sarah Mitchell, had jumped from the roof 6 weeks after Pierce evicted her. Suicide note mentioned his name. Mentioned having nowhere to go. Mentioned a system that protected men like him. Ray stood in the empty apartment, looking at the wall it shared. With 701 thin walls, you could hear everything through them, including, Ray thought, a gunshot. Ray returned to Carlos in the lobby. "Who else lives here?" Ray asked. "Apartments 201, 402, and 603 are occupied, but they're out of town. Work, family. I can give you contact info. Anyone else with access to the 7th floor?" "Just me. I have master keys." But Carlos hesitated. "But 3 months ago, Mr. Pierce changed the lock on his door. Installed his own deadbolt. My key doesn't work on 701 anymore." Ray's instincts sharpened. "Why would he do that?" He said he didn't trust anyone in the building. Said people were plotting against him. Carlos shrugged. He wasn't wrong. Ray returned to apartment 701 at 3 a.m. The ME had taken the body. Crime scene techs had processed everything. He was alone with the locked room. He walked the timeline in his mind. 8:15 p.m. Last confirmed sighting of Pierce. Video shows him entering building. 11:28 p.m. Anonymous call reports gunshot. 11:35 p.m. Police arrive. Door locked from inside. 11:40 p.m. Carlos uses master key. Wait. Ray checked his notes. Carlos said his master key didn't work. So, how? He called Carlos. "You said your master key doesn't work on 701. Correct. Mr. Pierce changed the lock. Then how did you open the door when police arrived? A pause. I used my old key. It opened the deadbolt from the outside. I thought maybe he'd put the old lock back. Or Ray thought, maybe the new lock was never engaged. Ray examined the door more carefully. Standard deadbolt installed 3 months ago. But there were scratches on the mechanism. Fresh scratches. Someone had picked this lock. Recently, he moved to the windows. Sealed, as Chun had said. Painted shut. Decades of paint layers. Impossible to open without breaking the seal. But the window frames themselves. Ray knelt, examining the baseboard below the window. A slight gap. A draft. He pulled the entire lower section of wall, baseboard drywall. Everything moved. Behind it, a crawl space, leading to apartment 702, the empty apartment. Someone had cut through the shared wall, created a passage between 701 and 702, covered it with a false wall panel that looked like baseboard. Pierce never knew it was there. Ray crawled through, emerged in 702, the empty apartment, the one that had been vacant for 8 months. On the floor, a crowbar, lock-picking tools, and a note. The note said, for Sarah, for Carlos, for Lisa, for Harold, for everyone he destroyed. Justice from the foundation up. Ray stood in the empty apartment, pieces clicking into place. Someone had been living in 702, hiding, planning. They'd cut through the wall, created access. Tonight, they'd picked Pierce's lock. From the inside, entered through the hidden passage, shot him, arranged the scene to look like suicide, exited through the passage, resealed the wall panel, and left through 702. The locked room wasn't locked at all. It just looked that way. But who? Ray reviewed his interviews. Carlos, too old, too tired. Lisa, possible, but the kids gave her timing issues. Harold, same physical limitations as Carlos. Then he remembered Sarah Mitchell, the woman who jumped from the roof. He called Officer Chun. Sarah Mitchell, the suicide 6 months ago. Did she have family? Chun checked records. Brother, Marcus Mitchell, age 38. Address, unknown. Last known employment, construction. Specifically, renovation and drywall. The pieces locked into place. Marcus Mitchell, his sister driven to suicide by Pierce. His skills perfectly suited to cutting through walls. His motive, absolute. Ray returned to Carlos. Marcus Mitchell, Sarah's brother. Have you seen him? Carlos's face gave nothing away. No, Carlos, I know you're lying. A long pause. Then, he came to the funeral. 6 months ago, said he'd make Pierce pay. I might have given him a key to 702, told him it was empty, that he could stay there while he figured things out. You helped him. I gave a grieving man a place to sleep. What he did with it, Carlos Metreyes eyes. That's his business. Ray Chandler sat in his car outside the Riverside Apartments at 5 a.m., watching sunrise paint the building gold. He had everything, the how, the who, the why. Marcus Mitchell had spent 6 months planning, cut through the wall, picked the lock, waited for the right moment. Tonight he'd executed a man who destroyed dozens of lives, made it look like suicide, vanished. Ray could issue a warrant, put out an APB. Marcus would be caught within a week, prosecuted, convicted, or Ray looked at his notes. Martin Pierce, 47 evictions in 5 years, 12 families rendered homeless. 1 suicide was directly attributed to his actions. Numerous complaints of harassment, intimidation, illegal lockouts. All legal, all documented, all protected by lawyers and corporations, and a system designed to shield men like him. And Marcus Mitchell, construction worker, no criminal record, lost his sister to a system that valued property over people, took justice into his own hands. Wrong? Legally, yes. But just? Ray picked up his phone, called his captain, Chandler, the Riverside case. Hatveyugot. Ray took a breath. Suicide. Martin Pierce. Locked room. Gun in. Hand. Powder residue consistent with self-infliction. No signs of struggle. No evidence of foul play. Motive. Financial troubles. I found documents showing he was overextended, facing foreclosure on the building. Looks like he couldn't face. Losing everything. Sad. Yeah, Ray said. Real sad. He hung up, looked at his notebook, the page with Marcus Mitchell's name. He tore it out, lit it with his car lighter, watched it burn. Then he drove to the building's basement, found Carlos hosing down, the floor in the maintenance room. Carlos, Ray said, if you talk to Marcus Mitchell, and I'm not saying you will, tell him two things. One, he needs to disappear, for a long time, forever preferably. And two, tell him his sister got justice, not from a courtroom, not from the system, but she got it. Carlos nodded slowly. I'll tell him, if I see him. You won't, Ray said. That's the point. 6 months later, the Riverside Apartments had new ownership, a non-profit housing. Collective purchased it at auction when Pierce's estate went into foreclosure. Rents dropped to affordable levels. Evictions stopped. Harold Week stayed in 503. Lisa Chun and her kids remained in 304. Carlos Rodriguez kept his job as super. Apartment 701, the 7th floor penthouse, was converted into a community room, a library for the kids, a meeting space for residents. On the wall, a small plaque in memory of Sarah Mitchell, who reminded us that a building is only as strong as its foundation. Detective Ray Chandler never found Marcus Mitchell. The case remained officially closed as suicide. Sometimes, Ray would drive past the building, see lights in windows, hear children playing in the courtyard, see Carlos tending the small garden in front, and he'd think about justice, about how it's supposed to work from the top down. Courts, laws, systems, but sometimes it climbs from the bottom up, from the foundation, floor by floor, until it reaches the 7th floor, and reminds everyone, what goes up must come down.